Hey and welcome. I'm Hammeh, and a bit of a different video today. We're jumping into Sarah Kerrigan's hero voice lines and interactions she gets as a character in Heroes of the Storm, as well as discussing her lore and story in summary, as an intro to the amazing lore and story of StarCraft. If you're an Overwatch fan, please do give this vid a go to learn a bit more about one of Blizzard's most iconic heroes. Let me know what you think, or click the playlist link below for my latest Overwatch videos. Before any game starts in Heroes of the Storm, and during the game on various triggers, heroes chatter with and react to each other in some funny in-game voice interactions. These give us some great insights into hero character, interests, lore and backstories, just like Overwatch. In this video, we're looking at Sarah Kerrigan's story, through her interactions with fellow heroes. I'm covering her lore in brief to start with too, so timecodes are in the description if you want to skip to the voice lines. Firstly, let's introduce you to Kerrigan's story. Sarah Louise Kerrigan, one of the StarCraft universe's greatest heroes and villains in equal measure, was never going to have a normal life. In the StarCraft universe, around 450 years in the future, more than 60,000 light years from Earth, human colonists, or the Terrans, fight for their survival amongst the stars in the KORHAL sector, led by the Terran Confederacy. Accidentally killing her mother and wounding her father with her psionic powers when young, Kerrigan was conscripted into and subjected to brutal treatment in the Terran Confederate Ghost program when she refused to use the powers which hurt her family. Broken in training by a harsh lieutenant named Rum and fitted with a neuro-adjuster device in her brain that made her completely loyal to the Confederacy, Kerrigan became one of its most effective ghosts, psychically gifted and highly effective commandos and assassins. On one such Confederate mission, she killed a Confederate senator, MENGSK of KORHAL, whose surviving son Arcturus would be a key part in Kerrigan's future, as well as that of the entire sector. MENGSK, the leader of the newly formed Sons of KORHAL rebels, rescued Kerrigan from a Confederate research facility where the effects of her telepathic abilities were being tested on creatures known as xenomorphs. These would later become to be known as the ZERG. Although she sensed his animosity, Kerrigan began to trust and served under the Sons of KORHAL and MENGSK until the events of StarCraft 1. When the Great War erupted between invading ZERG forces, the PROTOSS race attempting to stop their spread, and the Terran Confederacy attempting to defend their own borders. Meeting an ex-Confederate soldier turned marshal called James Raynor on a planet called Antigua Prime changed Kerrigan's life. The two fought together over a series of missions and drew close. The one thing that divided them was their opinions of MENGSK, who was increasingly ordering the two to use the ZERG as a weapon against the Confederacy, something that Raynor disagreed with. As the revolutionary movement gained momentum and reached the Confederate capital world of TASSADAR-LEGEND, MENGSK sprung a surprise, planting psi-emitter beacons to attract the ZERG which he'd hidden from Kerrigan and Raynor beforehand. As billions of ZERG laid waste to the planet, slaughtering people, the PROTOSS followed to attempt to destroy them. MENGSK ordered Kerrigan to protect the ZERG's primary hive from the PROTOSS until their destructive work was complete. Once she'd done so, MENGSK, the man whose parents and sister Kerrigan and two other ghosts had killed in the past, exacted his cold revenge. He left her to die, refusing to assist her troops as the ZERG overran her. MENGSK thought he'd left her for dead, and left the planet, his vengeance seemingly complete. A distraught and angry Raynor left the Sons of KORHAL, immediately attempting to rescue Kerrigan from the ZERG, but he thought it was too late. Kerrigan, however, hadn't been killed. Captured by the ZERG, the Overmind, the leading intelligence of the ZERG swarm, sensed her power and importance and the great asset that she could become. She was placed in a chrysalis and infested to become a ZERG-human hybrid, and she would be reborn as the Queen of Blades. Now, beyond this point lie the events of a lot of StarCraft 1's story, StarCraft Brood War, and the whole StarCraft 2 trilogy, where the first Great War that I've described is concluded, Kerrigan takes control of the ZERG, she starts a second Great War in a return to the KORHAL sector, and battles both Raynor and ZERATUL, the renowned Dark Templar, a faction of the PROTOSS, in her search for answers about a future conflict and prophecy that she's sensed. Ultimately, both her purpose and destiny, and that of her ZERG swarm, are caught up in the fate of all life in the sector itself, and that's another story. Now, I don't want to spoil it all in case you want to play StarCraft Remastered that's going to be out soon this year. It'll play on very low spec PCs nowadays, and the original StarCraft and Brood War are actually free to download and play right now. I'll put the link in the description below. I'll save the rest of Kerrigan's lore for another time, as I could talk about her story alone for honestly about an hour or more. I hope you enjoyed this primer though. Do let me know what you think about it in the comments below and whether you'd like to see more. Okay, on with her voice lines.
I am the swarm.
For those newer to Blizzard games with Overwatch or otherwise, ever since the original Warcraft RTS games, Blizzard has been known for poke noises. If you click a character multiple times, they utter stranger and funnier things each time, some even getting annoyed. This was in StarCraft games 2, World of Warcraft and Heroes of the Storm are no different. So to start with Hero Kerrigan's poke lines, we basically get two Kerrigans. The first is the Queen of Blades, when she's fully ZERG. Then her Queen of Ghosts legendary skin basically is from StarCraft 2, Heart of the Swarm period onwards-ish, where she's more human than ZERG again for a bit. Legendary skins are cool in HOTS because some have full voice reworks. Okay, we'll do the ZERG ones first and then the Ghost ones after.
What is it? Speak. I like you. That's why I'm going to kill you last.
Believe that's an Arnie quote from the wonderful piece of cinema that is Commando.
It's not easy being queen.
Kerrigan echoing a little bit of Kermit the Frog there.
Yeah, I'm still the queen bitch of the universe.
Now this is a line from StarCraft Brood War where Kerrigan arguably is at the height of her, shall we say, deception, betrayal and all this kind of stuff. It's kind of loved and affectionately mocked by StarCraft fans in equal measure, I think.
Really? Are you staring at my thorax? Still easily amused, I see. Looks like those energy drinks actually do give you wings.
Wonder what energy drink she's referring to there.
Wait, aren't I supposed to be human now? Make up your mind, Blizzard. Human Zerg, pick one.
Kerrigan does swap between what she is a lot in her StarCraft story, without spoiling the StarCraft 2 trilogy any further.
The worst part about having a hive mind is knowing exactly how many of your Zerglings are licking themselves at any given moment. Are we really supposed to believe that I evolved high heels?
A little joke about the design of Kerrigan there. Yeah, did she evolve high heels as part of her transformation into a Zerg hybrid?
Hell hath no fury like a woman swarmed. It takes forever to comb your hair when it keeps fighting you. Literally. It's never wise to poke the hive mind. Phenomenal psionic powers. Icky, sticky living space.
Now that's a direct quote from the genie from Aladdin. God rest your soul, Robin Williams.
You will be assimilated. Resistance is futile.
Straight out of Star Trek, for you Star Trek fans, that is the Borg. A little bit of assimilation there.
I'm a killer queen, guaranteed to blow your mind.
That's of course the Queen song lyric from Killer Queen. I think Kerrigan fits that pretty well. Okay, now time for the ghost lines.
Lieutenant Kerrigan reporting. What now? Magistrate. Commander. Wait, what do I call you again?
These are different names for the player in the original StarCraft. The story had you being the person commanding the action, originally as the Magistrate, so you were a character who went along with Raynor, Kerrigan, MENGSK and co on their adventures.
Still easily amused, huh? I'm just glad Jim decided to help me take the fight to MENGSK. Can't imagine what I'd do without him.
The two end up reuniting to take the fight to MENGSK in the StarCraft 2 trilogy.
The goggles? Yeah, they do nothing. It's been a while since I've worn a hostile environment suit. When did they get all these glowing lines? Never had much love for Valerian, but I have to admit, his boys in the lab whipped up some neat toys. Remind me to thank that Rigel guy when I get a chance.
Now, Valerian is son of Arcturus MENGSK. He's pretty different from his dad in a lot of ways. Rigel is a member of the Mobius Foundation, owned by Valerian, that did both some good and some very shady things in StarCraft 2 trilogy. Rigel's a character in Nova's Covert Ops mission packs for StarCraft 2 who works for that corporation as well.
Considering how much they spent on these wings, you'd think they could have sprung for a cloaking device.
Yeah, I guess Kerrigan's wings aren't that subtle.
Reminds me of an old Academy joke. What do you call a ghost that's not invisible? A corpse. It is nice to be human again, but you really can't make up your mind, can you, Blizzard? What's next? A Xel'Naga? That'd be hilarious.
This is a little bit of Blizzard's self-deferential humour. Xel'Naga are beings of ancient and almost infinite power in the StarCraft 2 universe. Play StarCraft 2 trilogy for this one.
You look stressed. Got something on your mind? Remind me not to ask you that again. Yes, the idea of a robotic ultralisk is completely crazy. But have you seen how cool it looks?
One of Kerrigan's heroic abilities in Heroes of the Storm is Ultralisk, so this is taking the mick out of herself a little bit.
It's not hair, by the way. It's a series of tubes.
Now, I believe this is actually referring to a comment by a US senator in a debate about net neutrality. Ted Stevens, at the time, used this phrase, a series of tubes, in a way that kind of made it sound as though he was a little bit out of touch with internet fundamentals.
I am the swarm. Oh, sorry. It's a little tough getting the thoughts of an entire alien race out of your head, you know? Evolve. Survive. This is gonna take a while.
Partially de-infested Kerrigan, clearly having a few problems going cold turkey from being the all-seeing, all-knowing queen of billions of minds in a hive mind. Okay, time for Kerrigan's interactions before Heroes of the Storm matches start. Remember, the Nexus in Heroes of the Storm brings together characters from all Blizzard's games and universes, so you get to see both a few fun references to each hero's home universe and how they might mix if Overwatch met StarCraft, Warcraft, Diablo, and more. Now, as Kerrigan's so grounded in her own StarCraft universe and an original Heroes of the Storm hero on its release, she mainly interacts with all the StarCraft cast, although she does have a little interaction with her biggest fan and a Murloc stranger too. Again, here you'll have two sets of interactions, Kerrigan as the Queen of Blades, and her Queen of Ghosts legendary skin ones. Now, her Queen of Ghosts is her after being uninfested in Heart of the Swarm. So she will have had an antagonistic, confrontational relationship with some characters as the Queen of Blades. She killed billions, potentially, of Terrans, ZERG and PROTOSS with her ZERG swarm, and then either not remember that or be trying to work alongside those characters or reconcile with them in her Queen of Ghosts skin, as she's mostly human again. If you hear two lines in any of these pairings, the Blades one will be first and the Ghost second. Let's get to it. As a former Terran Confederate soldier, then outlaw, then a local marshal, Raynor and Kerrigan became very much the star-crossed lovers throughout the course of StarCraft's story. From meeting and growing close, to Raynor swearing he'll kill her in the events of StarCraft Brood War on some of her betrayals, to him ultimately fighting his way across the sector to help attempt to redeem her at the beginning of the StarCraft II trilogy, the two's history is in many ways StarCraft itself. In Heroes of the Storm, their interactions, whether Kerrigan is Queen of Blades or Queen of Ghosts, touch back to the days they fought together, side by side.
You up for this, cowboy? It's you and me, Jim. You ready?
Always. You up for this, darling?
You know it. Come on, do you have to ask?
Tychus is an old service comrade, friend, outlaw partner in crime of Raynor's, and he crosses paths with Kerrigan in StarCraft II Wings of Liberty. Now, without giving away what happens in that game, the iconic Terran Marine, known for his phrase, and Kerrigan aren't exactly happy to see each other.
Ugh, Tychus. I can't believe this. Tychus. I can't believe it.
Alright, let's get this over with already. Fighting alongside a ZERG just don't sit right with me.
Don't worry about it. You'll be left behind soon enough.
And in a slightly out of canon but kind of making sense interchange, Kerrigan as a ghost isn't too sad to see Tychus be infested by the ZERG. Now that is a skin, it doesn't actually happen in the StarCraft story, but I think Kerrigan could react in this way.
Tychus? Oh, God. What did they do to you?
I serve and obey, you jerk.
Well, now I'm kind of glad you end up infested.
Born into one of the Terran Confederacy's richest and most powerful old families, Nova Terra's abilities were hidden from ghost recruiters by her parents. However, they were to manifest in a catastrophic way. When her parents were killed by anti-Confederate rebels, her psychic abilities showed themselves, destroying half a skyscraper, killing her would-be attackers, and hundreds of people around her in the process. After being rescued, debatably, from an underworld gang by the Confederacy, then Dominion Ghost program, Terra would rapidly rise to become the most effective ghost serving the Dominion. Now, Nova's tale is a story in itself, but suffice to say, as the next big ghost after Kerrigan's transformation into the Queen of Blades, the two have a bit of a rivalry going on.
Ready to watch a real assassin at work? You look familiar. Should I know you?
Whatever. Kerrigan.
That's me. And who are you again? The one and only.
Okay, we're finished with the Terran race, now to go on to the Protoss. TASSADAR is known in the StarCraft universe as the one-time executor of the Protoss High Templar. They are the cast of Protoss psionic warriors. TASSADAR has fought Kerrigan a few times in the events of StarCraft in human and ZERG forms, so he's not too pleased to see her.
I am not your enemy, TASSADAR. things have changed. I am not your enemy, TASSADAR. Things have changed.
Yes, you radiate a purple glow now. How very different. It has been a long time, O Queen of the Zerg.
15 years at least. Tell me about it. Also, not Zerg anymore. Try to keep up.
So that last response is in Zerg form, talking about the 15 years or so from the original StarCraft events that TASSADAR was so central to probably the release of Heroes of the Storm, and in Kerrigan's Ghost response, of course, she's no longer a Zerg anymore entirely in the events of Heart of the Swarm, so two different little timelines going on there. Now, the PROTOSS are linked by the Khala, a communal psionic link. ZERATUL is a revered member of the Dark Templar, a faction of the PROTOSS who cut their psionic head appendices to try and cut themselves off from the Khala, and this shared memory and thought process the PROTOSS share. They can also wield void energies, which are very harmful to the Zerg. In the Brood War, ZERATUL was manipulated by Kerrigan into killing both some of her enemies when she was Queen of Blades and the matriarch of his very own people. However, upon going into seclusion to investigate prophecies surrounding hybrid Protoss-Zerg creatures that had been discovered, ZERATUL came to realise that, whatever her crimes against him or the Sector, Kerrigan's future might be greater than any past betrayals. It might explain his somewhat more neutral replies to her.
Ready for some fun, ZERATUL? ZERATUL? Huh. Alright, this could be fun.
You and I interpret this fun very differently. Kerrigan, I hope your anger will not become a liability.
Let your blade do the talking, ZERATUL. Can you blame a girl for wanting to let loose?
When TASSADAR apparently defected to the Dark Templar during the events of StarCraft 1, ARTANIS was appointed to his position as Executor of the High Templar. ARTANIS too would be betrayed by Kerrigan in the events of Brood War, and given the Zerg had invaded and destroyed the Protoss homeworld of Aya, he's not happy to see Kerrigan in the events of StarCraft 2. In the final chapter of the trilogy, Legacy of the Void, he's ascended to become the leader of the Dalam, in attempting to reunite the scattered factions of the Protoss to reclaim their home and rebuild their civilization.
ARTANIS.
We will settle this after the battle, abomination. I must ally with the Zerg? So be it.
I am not your enemy, ARTANIS. Not for this fight, anyway. ARTANIS, is that you? Someone's been taking his vitamins.
If you have any wisdom at all, you will remain silent.
Okay, we're done with the Protoss, now on to the Zerg. Created by the original controlling force of the Zerg, the Overmind, ABATHUR is the evolution master of the Zerg, their DNA library cum improvement center. Kerrigan re-recruits it in her StarCraft 2 outing, Heart of the Swarm. ABATHUR is actually responsible for Kerrigan's original infestation into the Queen of Blades. She's not happy about that in the future when she remembers she has some memory loss in Heart of the Swarm, but uses his skills for her and the Swarm's own needs.
ABATHUR.
For the Swarm, Organism ABATHUR will serve Queen.
Good. Wow, you'd think I'd remember something like you.
Conversation superfluous. Focus upon combat.
ZAGARA, the broodmother of the Swarm, was actually created on the Zerg world of Char by Kerrigan herself. She attempts to take command of the Swarm during the Queen of Blades' absence at a point in the StarCraft 2 trilogy. Kerrigan ends up recruiting her afterwards and trying to train and improve her to have more vision and understanding, part of which was being sent to ABATHUR for a few experiments, and it's this that's referred to in their interactions.
ZAGARA. There's no one I'd rather have as my second. ZAGARA. If you're as tough and mean as I remember, this should be easy.
Undoubtedly. My queen.
Remember what I taught you about vision? Time to put it to practice. Not even close.
DEHAKA is a primal Zerg pack leader. They're a subspecies of the Zerg who retain the original traits of the species. They're a bit more reptilian and mammalian than insectoid. These Zerg managed to avoid being incorporated into the major Zerg swarm and have evolved their own route ever since. Primal Zerg have the ability to take essence or genetic information from their foes and very quickly evolve using it, sometimes within a matter of seconds to hours, and that's something that ABATHUR gets a bit jealous about in the StarCraft story. Kerrigan encounters these primals again in StarCraft 2 Heart of the Swarm, and forms a mutually beneficial alliance with DEHAKA.
This'll be just like the Psi Destroyer. Split and conquer.
Yes, always much essence when fighting with you. Queen of Blades, looking forward to fighting with you again.
Follow me, and the essence keeps flowing. Got it. What are you? Some sort of dinosaur Zerg?
Do not provoke Primal Zerg.
Okay, that's all of the StarCraft interactions and pretty much a primer to the lore and story of StarCraft for you. I hope you do give one of the StarCraft games a go, and remember, as I said, you can get StarCraft the originals for free. Now for the out-of-universe interactions. Diva, of course, was an ex-pro StarCraft player, so she's happy to see Kerrigan in the Nexus.
대박! Kerrigan? You're real? I'm such a huge fan!
Thanks?
And finally, Murky from Warcraft. I find it hilarious that several heroes in Heroes of the Storm, when talking to Murky, seem to see a somewhat evil side to this seemingly harmless Murloc. What do you reckon?
Cute. Where's my real ally? I sense a lot of hatred in you for one so small. Hold on. Is one of our teammates a fish? Who do we report this to?
And finally, Kerrigan has a bunch of cool kill quotes. Now these are for ABATHUR, Arthas, Kerrigan, Leoric, Nova, PROTOSS, Raynor, Sylvanas, Terran units, Zeratul and ZERG units. You get different lines for Queen of Blades and Queen of Ghosts, so again, Queen of Blades first, Queen of Ghosts second.
Playtime's over. Get back to work. What was that thing? What's up with all these bratty princes anyways? Lot of bratty princes around here. There can only be one. Better you than me. Take a rest, Leoric. Now you go be a ghost for a while. Nice try, Blondie. You're still second best. I wear it better, Blondie. PROTOSS, all talk. Have fun in the Kala, or whatever you have now. Weren't you supposed to kill me, Jim? Jim? No, I would never. Long live the real queen. That's what you get for cramping my style. Never cross the Queen of Blades. Never get in the way of a ghost on a mission. You never stood a chance, Zeratul. Zeratul. How dare you disobey your queen? Weird being on the other side of this.
Thanks for tuning in to my Kerrigan lore, voice lines and interactions vid showing off some of her voice lines and a bit of her backstory for Heroes of the Storm and StarCraft. Please do let me know what you thought, whether you're a Heroes fan, Overwatch, StarCraft fan or otherwise in the comments below. Do throw a like or subscribe and maybe share it if you enjoyed. It really helps me out. I do a load of Overwatch lore, hero voice lines and interactions too, and I'm going to be continuing this Heroes of the Storm series for every hero in the Nexus, so do check out those videos in the playlists below. And if you enjoyed this, do let me know what Heroes of the Storm hero you'd like me to cover next. Cheers for tuning in, I've been Hammeh, take it easy.